the most feared Vulpine warrior, came to my door for something absurd. Alex had never expected anything unusual in his life. His days were filled with the same routine. Wake up late, make coffee, scroll through the news, answer emails, and sometimes stare out the window at the gray city streets. Nothing exciting ever happened. At least, that's what he thought until the evening the most feared. Vulpine warrior in the galaxy appeared at his doorstep. It started with a knock. Alex had just settled into his couch with a cup of tea, the rain tapping rhythmically against his apartment window. The knock came again, louder this time. Hesitant, he set the tea down and walked to the door. Peering through the peephole, he froze. There, standing in the dim light of the hallway, was a creature straight out of a science fiction fantasy, an enormous fox-like being. Fur thick and glistening wet from the rain, muscles taut beneath polished armor. Scars lined its face and arms, each one telling the story of battles fought across countless worlds. Its eyes glowed faintly amber, sharp and intelligent, and even from a distance. Alex could feel the power radiating from it. He opened the door, his hand shaking slightly. Hello?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The Vulpine warrior Kale. As he would soon introduce himself, tilted his head and stared at Alex. Then, in a voice deep and resonant, he said, "I need sugar." Alex blinked. He must have misheard. He stepped back slightly, unsure if the rain or his imagination was playing tricks on him. "Sugar?" he asked, like, "For tea?" Kale nodded solemnly, his ears flicking with impatience. "For tea," he confirmed. There was no jest in his tone, no hint of humor. He simply wanted sugar. The most feared warrior in the galaxy, coming to a small human apartment, asking for a cup of sugar. Alex swallowed hard. He wanted to laugh, to question his sanity. But something in Kale's eyes, so serious, so commanding, stopped him. "Sure. Come in," Alex said finally, stepping aside. The warrior entered, shaking off the rain carefully, as though each drop might carry some microscopic danger. He moved with precision, scanning the room quickly before settling near the kitchen counter. Alex watched him, heart hammering. He had grown up on sci-fi movies and video games, but this was different. This was real, and it was terrifying. "I will need 1 cup, Kale said, pointing at the sugar jar on the counter. Alex nodded and measured it carefully, handing it over. Kale inspected it with an almost military thoroughness before taking it and pouring it into a small metallic cup. He stirred it with a spoon, then took a tiny sip. Alex waited. Finally, Kale set the cup down. "Sufficient," he said simply. "I am Kale." Alex introduced himself in return. It felt surreal to shake hands with someone who had likely fought battles that spanned star systems. Yet here he was, sipping sugar like any ordinary human might enjoy tea. You traveled all this way for sugar?" Alex asked, still trying to process the absurdity. Kale nodded. "In my world, sugar is rare, essential for certain rituals. Necessary. I have searched many dimensions. I have traveled far." Alex frowned. "And you came to my apartment?" Kale's eyes narrowed. "Your location was convenient." He did not elaborate, and Alex did not press. He was still too busy staring at the most intimidating being he had ever seen, sitting in his kitchen, taking sugar like it was the most normal thing in the universe. The next hour passed in awkward silence. Broken only by the occasional sip of tea from Kale, Alex kept glancing at him, half expecting the warrior to leap up and demand a duel or to start scanning the room for some hidden threat. But Kale merely watched, alert but calm. Eventually, Alex found himself talking. He told Kale about his job, the mundane routines, the city life that never seemed to change. Kale listened, occasionally nodding or flicking his ears. It was strange. This being of immense power seemed almost curious, in the same way a human might be curious about a hobby or a game. After a while, Kale spoke. "I do not understand your customs," he said. "Tea, sugar. These are trivial things in your world, but they are satisfying." He paused, looking thoughtfully at the cup. "I have fought wars where the fate of entire planets hung in the balance, And yet, this small pleasure holds value. Alex laughed nervously. Well, yeah. Sometimes small things are the most important. He realized that in the presence of someone so powerful, he didn't feel insignificant, he felt connected. The absurdity of a galaxy-renowned warrior drinking sugar in his kitchen made him feel like anything was possible. Over the next few days, Kale stayed longer than Alex expected. He learned to make himself at home, carefully respecting Alex's apartment rules, but also demonstrating combat moves that were almost mesmerizing in their precision. He would leap across furniture effortlessly, spin in the air, and land without a sound. Yet always pause politely before asking for small things. Like a teaspoon or a glass of water, Alex began to notice the loneliness behind Kale's powerful exterior. The warrior had survived countless battles, outlived comrades, and earned fear and respect across galaxies, but he had very few friends, very few people who knew him as anything other than a weapon. And yet here in a small Earth's apartment, he seemed human. Almost vulnerable in a way that made Alex want to help him. It was not all serious. Sometimes, Kale's unfamiliarity with Earth customs led to humorous moments. He once attempted to toast bread in a toaster, only to have it pop up violently, scaring him into flipping backward across the kitchen. Another time, he tried to play a video game and grew frustrated when his incredible reflexes didn't translate to the controller. Alex laughed, genuinely, for the first time in weeks. Kale, too, eventually laughed a deep, rumbling sound that seemed almost impossible from someone so fearsome. Despite the absurdity, the bond between them grew. Kale began sharing stories of distant planets, epic battles, and civilizations he had seen rise and fall. Alex listened, captivated, imagining the worlds Kale described, worlds that no human had ever visited. Yet he also learned that Kale's might came with burdens, loneliness, the weight of expectation, and the knowledge that fear often kept him isolated. One evening, as the rain fell again against the windows, Alex realized he had almost forgotten how normal life had once felt. Kale had become part of his routine: tea, sugar, stories, and lessons about the galaxy. It was absurd. It was surreal. And yet, it was one of the most extraordinary experiences of his life. Kale, sensing Alex's thoughts, looked at him and said softly, "It is rare to find companionship in the smallest of places, even for one such as I." Alex nodded. "I guess sometimes the universe sends its most unlikely visitors to teach you the most important lessons," he said. Kale considered this. His sharp amber eyes softened. Then he stood, towering above Alex. "Tomorrow, I must leave," he said, "but I will return. Your help has been appreciated." Alex felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. He had grown accustomed to the absurd presence of this warrior in his life, to the small joys of shared tea and the quiet of companionship. He had learned that even the strongest beings could need help, even for the smallest things. That night, Alex sat by his window, watching the rain. He thought about Kale, the warrior who had come to his door for something as trivial as sugar, and realized that the world, or rather, universe, is far stranger and more wonderful than he had ever imagined. And for the first time, he looked forward to the next knock at his door, wondering what absurd adventure the most feared Vulpine warrior would bring next. The morning sunlight crept through the thin curtains, painting Alex's apartment in soft gold. He stirred in bed, still half asleep, and for a brief moment forgot the strange events of the previous evening. Then he remembered Kale, the towering Vulpine warrior, sitting at his kitchen table, sipping tea with surgical precision. A faint smile tugged at Alex's lips. Somehow, the most feared creature in the galaxy had become part of his ordinary life. Kale was already awake. Standing near the counter, carefully inspecting a spoon as though it held the secrets of the universe. His fur glistened in the morning light, and his armor, polished to a mere sheen, reflected the sun in sharp, bright angles. Despite his terrifying appearance, the warrior moved with quiet grace, like a predator who had learned patience from years of survival. "Good morning," Alex said, yawning as he entered the kitchen. Kale turned his head, ears twitching. "Morning," he replied simply, his voice carrying the same deep, calm resonance as always. I require more sugar. Alex laughed, shaking his head. You're going to drink all my sugar if you keep this up. I can't keep up with a galactic army and your sweet tooth at the same time. Kale tilted his head, clearly unamused by the joke. This sugar is not for indulgence, he said. It is essential. Alex measured out a cup, wondering if he would ever stop feeling that surreal tension of having a living legend in his kitchen. He watched as Kale stirred his tea, and then, almost casually, the warrior asked, How do humans survive? So long without battle training? Alex blinked, unsure what to say. I guess we don't. Usually, he said finally, we just get by. Kale's eyes, glowing faintly amber, studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Survival without discipline. Risky. Yet you endure. It struck Alex that Kale saw the world entirely differently. To him, life without constant training or preparation seemed fragile, even dangerous. And yet, Alex realized, there was something admirable about that perspective. Humans survived with creativity, intuition, and sometimes luck qualities a galaxy-spanning warrior might overlook. Over the next few days, Kale's presence became a new rhythm in Alex's life. He awoke to find the warrior practicing combat stances in the living room, leaping from sofa to bookshelf with flawless agility. Alex had never imagined his modest apartment could double as a training ground for a creature who could probably level an entire city with a single swipe of his claws. Yet Kale moved with restraint, careful not to damage anything. Pausing politely when he accidentally nudged a lamp, Alex began to teach Kale some of his own human routines. He showed him how to brew coffee, explaining the nuances of timing, water temperature, and grind. Kale listened intently, repeating the steps with surprising precision. He attempted to make toast as well, though his claws made the task difficult. The toaster nearly flew off the counter more than once. Each failure was met with Kale's quiet growl of frustration, followed by Alex's laughter, which seemed to amuse the warrior more than anything else. Despite the humor, Alex noticed a quiet sadness in Kale during moments of solitude. The warrior had fought countless wars, seen civilizations crumble, and faced enemies who would do anything to kill him. That strength, that fearlessness, often came at a cost. He had no one who truly understood him. No one he could trust with the small everyday moments that made life meaningful. Alex, in his ordinary way, was becoming that person. He began to feel a sense of purpose he hadn't known before, the opportunity to offer companionship, guidance, and trust to someone so extraordinary. One afternoon, as Alex worked on his laptop, Kale sat nearby, observing the screen with intense focus. These humans. Strange, Kale remarked. They rely on machines for knowledge. Yet their curiosity is admirable. Alex smiled. Curiosity is how we survive. How we improve? How we get through life? Kale considered this, his ears twitching. Curiosity. Perhaps this is why you endure despite fragility. It was during one of these quiet afternoons that the first warning arrived. A faint vibration in the air, almost imperceptible, caught Kale's attention immediately. He froze, ears flicking, nostrils flaring. Alex noticed the sudden tension and asked, What is it? Kale's gaze hardened. A presence. Approaching, dangerous. Before Alex could process the words, a sharp metallic hum filled the room, followed by a vibration beneath the floor. Outside, through the window, a sleek craft hovered, its black metal surface reflecting the city's lights like liquid shadow. Alex's heart raced. Is that normal? Kale's tail twitched. No, this is not normal. It is a hunter. A tracker of warriors. Alex swallowed hard. A hunter. For you. Kale nodded. Yes, one sent to capture. Or eliminate me. Panic surged through Alex, but Kale remained calm, almost eerily so. Stay inside, Kale instructed. Do not reveal yourself. I will handle this. What followed was a whirlwind of movement and strategy Alex could barely comprehend. Kale moved with astonishing speed, leaping onto counters, spinning across the room. and using Alex's furniture to create defensive positions. The apartment became a chaotic battlefield. Alex, though terrified, did not freeze. Instead, he began helping Cale improvise. Chairs became barricades. Lamps were used as tripwires. Even a bookshelf transformed into a makeshift shield, the Hunter Vryn. As Cale later introduced, her descended from her ship in a sleek suit of armor. She radiated menace, her eyes scanning the apartment with predatory focus. Cale met her in the center of the living room, claws extended, armor gleaming. The battle was fierce and fast. Alex watched in awe as Cale moved with precision, striking with controlled power, avoiding every blow, and countering with strength that seemed impossible in such a confined space. But it wasn't just Cale's skill that turned the tide, it was Alex's ingenuity. Each time Vryn advanced, Alex found ways to slow her down, using everyday objects in unexpected ways. He knocked over a lamp to create a dazzling distraction, tripped a wire to send her stumbling, and even threw a mug that Cale deflected midair to block a critical strike. Cale's amber eyes occasionally met Alex's, a flicker of approval in their depths. Eventually Vryn retreated, frustrated and humiliated. Her ship vanished into the sky, leaving Alex and Cale in the quiet aftermath. Alex's hands trembled and sweat ran down his face. That was insane, he gasped. Are you okay? Cale lowered his claws, breathing steadily. I am unharmed. You performed adequately. He tilted his head. Humans have creativity. This is advantageous. Alex laughed nervously, still shaking. I guess so. Improvisation is kind of our thing. Cale's expression softened, just a fraction. Yes, you are. Resourceful? I underestimated humans, perhaps. I will continue to learn. After Vryn left, Alex and Cale returned to a sense of normalcy, though both knew things had changed. The quiet afternoons were now filled with cautious preparation. Cale began teaching Alex basic self-defense techniques, explaining the principles of strategy and situational awareness. Alex, in turn, offered his perspective on problem-solving, teamwork, and thinking outside the box. The absurdity of the situation never left Alex's mind. Here he was, a human of ordinary life, sharing tactics and tea with the galaxy's most feared warrior. He sometimes caught himself laughing at the contrast how Cale could destroy entire armies, yet relied on Alex to find clever ways to use a bookshelf against a technologically superior enemy. And yet amidst the humor, Alex realized something profound. Humans had qualities Cale had long overlooked: imagination, intuition, and the ability to connect, even in the smallest ways. One evening, as they sat quietly sipping tea, Cale spoke again, his voice low and thoughtful. I did not anticipate friendship in such a place. Your presence. Comforting, Alex smiled. Sometimes the strangest visitors teach the most important lessons. Cale considered this. Perhaps the universe has a sense of irony. Alex laughed softly, feeling a warmth that had little to do with tea. Maybe it does. Or maybe it just puts the right people in the right place at the right time. Cale's amber eyes softened further. Yes, perhaps. He lifted his cup and drank slowly, savoring the simple sweetness of sugar. For now, this is enough. But I must remain vigilant. The hunter may return. Alex nodded. We'll be ready. Together. Cale's gaze met his, and for the first time Alex saw a flicker of respect in something deeper, almost trust. Despite the chaos, the absurdity, and the danger, Alex felt a sense of pride. He had faced fear, improvisation, and a challenge beyond anything he had ever imagined. And somehow, in doing so, he had earned the recognition of a being far stronger, far wiser, and far more dangerous than himself. As night fell over the city, the rain tapping against the windows once again, Alex realized something remarkable. His life, once so ordinary, had transformed. The presence of Cale had brought excitement, challenge, laughter, and a sense of purpose he had never known. And though danger still loomed beyond the walls of his apartment, he felt ready, curious, creative, and surprisingly courageous. He looked at Cale, who now sat quietly, sipping the last of his tea. and thought that perhaps the universe was stranger, funnier, and more wonderful than he had ever imagined. And maybe, just maybe, it had more surprises in store. The city was quiet the next morning, but Alex could feel a tension that wasn't entirely his own. Cale stood by the window, eyes narrowing as he scanned the horizon. The sleek black ship that had threatened them before was gone, but Cale's instincts told him it was only a matter of time before Vryn returned, or worse. Others drawn by the trail of a galaxy-renowned warrior seeking sugar, Alex watched him, sensing the difference between fear and readiness. Cale was not afraid. He was alert. Every movement, every twitch of his ears, every slight shift in posture spoke of experience that spanned countless worlds and battles. Alex, in contrast, felt a nervous thrill in his chest. Ordinary humans rarely dealt with intergalactic warriors, much less their enemies. Yet here he was, not cowering, but helping, thinking, improvising. Somehow this absurd friendship had forced him to grow. "Alex," Cale said quietly, his deep voice cutting through the silence. "We cannot wait. The hunter will return. We must prepare." Alex nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "Prepare how? We don't have starships, weapons, or, well, any of the things you usually fight with." Cale's amber eyes flickered with amusement. "You have your ingenuity. That is more dangerous than you think." They spent the morning gathering supplies. Alex's apartment, once ordinary and cramped, became a command center of sorts. He handed Cale mundane items while Cale showed him how each could be repurposed in creative ways. A broom could become a lever, a frying pan, a shield, a lamp, a makeshift distraction. They laughed at the absurdity, but Alex began to see patterns in Cale's teaching. The warrior had a strategy for everything, and though it seemed over the top, it had a methodical purpose. By mid-afternoon, they had mapped out the perimeter of the building, noting entrances, windows, and blind spots. Alex marveled at Cale's awareness. Even in a small, familiar space, the warrior treated it like a battlefield across the stars. Alex, in his own way, began to see the apartment as more than a home. It was a place where strategy, courage, and imagination could turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. Cale, while teaching, also shared stories of his past, battles fought in zero-gravity arenas, duels with creatures that could phase through walls, wars where a single decision could decide the fate of a planet. Alex listened, wide-eyed, imagining worlds and skies and armies unlike anything in human memory. And yet, Cale never boasted. The stories were lessons, a reflection of experience, tempered by discipline, loss, and understanding. "Every fight has a purpose," Cale explained, "even those that seem absurd. Every choice can have consequences across worlds. Strategy is not only about strength, but about timing, intelligence, and observation." Alex realized that even in their absurd partnership, Cale had chosen to teach him something profound. It was more than survival, it was thinking, adapting, and using what one had, however small or ordinary, to achieve something extraordinary. The first sign of trouble came late in the evening. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through the walls. Cale's ears flicked, his tail twitching. Alex froze. "Is it them?" he whispered. Cale nodded. "Yes, but not alone. More hunters. They are learning. They are cleverer than before." Alex swallowed hard. He felt a surge of fear, but also determination. "What do we do?" Cale's eyes softened for a moment. "We survive. Together." The hunters arrived with stealth and speed. A dozen sleek ships descended, hovering just above the city streets. Vryn led them, her eyes glowing through the visor of her suit. She scanned the buildings with lethal precision. Cale moved first, leaping to the balcony and vanishing from sight. Alex, following Cale's instructions, prepared improvised traps throughout the apartment. Wires, bookshelves, and chairs arranged strategically to slow any intruder. When the hunters entered, the apartment erupted into chaos. Cale was everywhere at once, striking with speed and precision that defied belief. His claws and strength were terrifying, but he never lost control, never caused unnecessary damage. Alex, meanwhile, found courage he did not know he had. He moved objects to block passages, dropped small weights to distract enemies, and even improvised signals to alert Kale to incoming threats. In one narrow hallway, Alex grabbed a heavy lamp and swung it just as a hunter advanced. The lamp hit with a dull thud, knocking the intruder off balance. Kale appeared instantly, disarming and incapacitating the hunter before he could recover. Alex's pulse raced. He had never felt so alive. Kale occasionally glanced at him, a flicker of approval in his amber eyes. "Your timing." "Adequate," he said, almost casually by the end of the first wave. The hunters retreated, but Kale knew it was only temporary. "They will return, stronger, faster, more prepared," he said. "We need more than improvisation. We need allies, resources, and understanding of the artifact I seek." Alex frowned. The artifact. Kale's expression grew serious. "Yes, the artifact. The syrup of eternity. It maintains balance across my galaxy. Without it, tyrants rise unchecked. It can only be activated with sugar pure from worlds across dimensions." Alex blinked. "Wait, all of this? Because of sugar?" Kale's expression softened, just slightly. "Sugar is trivial in appearance, but essential in function. This is why I came to you. Your world's supply is compatible. You've held the key to balance." Alex stared at him, realizing the absurdity he had laughed at was actually cosmic in scale. A simple cup of sugar had the weight of entire galaxies. And he, an ordinary human, had been part of it. Kale continued, pacing the small apartment with a grace that belied his size. "The hunters Vryn and her allies will not stop. They seek the artifact for themselves. If they acquire it, countless worlds will suffer. We must act before they learn of your location. And mine." Alex nodded, determination growing. "Then we prepare. We fight. We protect. Whatever you need." Kale's gaze softened, almost imperceptibly. "You have courage, unexpected, resourcefulness, humanity." He paused, as if weighing his words carefully. "These traits give hope, even in ordinary beings." Even here, Alex felt a warmth spread through him. He realized that the mundane skills, curiosity, quick thinking he had relied on in ordinary life were valuable in ways he had never imagined. He had become, in a small but significant way, part of Kale's world. Part of the mission to protect a galaxy. The next few days passed in intense preparation. Alex helped Kale create detailed maps of the city, escape routes, and potential hiding spots. They tested traps, reinforced windows, and even modified household items into clever defensive tools. Through it all, Kale's presence was both intimidating and inspiring. He taught Alex patience, observation, and the importance of thinking ahead. While Alex reminded Kale that creativity and humor could also be powerful tools during quiet moments. They shared stories and laughter. Kale attempted to cook a simple attempt at pasta ended with flour covering the kitchen ceiling. But the warrior's frustration was tempered by Alex's calm guidance. It was absurd, yet these moments built trust. Kale, for all his fearsome reputation, seemed to appreciate Alex's perspective. Human, ordinary, and yet extraordinary in ways that mattered. One night, as the city lights flickered below, Kale looked at Alex thoughtfully. "Tomorrow, we move toward the artifact. The path is perilous. Hunters may pursue us. Yet, you will accompany me. Your perspective, your resourcefulness, necessary." Alex nodded, trying to calm the mix of excitement and fear in his chest. "I'll be ready. Whatever comes, we face it together." Kale's ears twitched in approval. "Good. Prepare for departure at dawn. The galaxy awaits, and danger follows closely behind. Your world may be ordinary, Alex, but your actions, extraordinary. Remember this." As they settled in for the night, Alex thought about the absurdity of his life. The most feared Vulpine warrior in the universe, who had come to his door for sugar, was now his companion, mentor, and ally. He had faced danger, learned strategy, and found courage within himself that he never knew existed. The ordinary apartment had become a hub of preparation for an adventure that spanned dimensions. Yet it felt alive, and in that quiet moment, Alex understood something profound. Ordinary people could achieve extraordinary things. Courage, creativity, and loyalty were as powerful as any weapon. And sometimes, the most absurd beginnings, like a cup of sugar, could lead to the greatest adventures. The city slept, unaware of the battles to come, the allies to be gained, and the cosmic responsibility that rested in the hands of a human who had once thought his life was ordinary. Alex drifted to sleep, ready to face the unknown, knowing that together, he and Cale could meet whatever challenges awaited them beyond the stars. The dawn broke quietly over the city, painting the streets with a pale orange glow. Alex packed his few belongings into a small backpack, glancing nervously at the door. Outside, the world seemed ordinary, calm, and unaware of the galaxy-spanning adventure that was about to unfold. Cale moved with silent efficiency, checking the apartment one last time, his fur gleaming in the morning light. The towering warrior seemed almost regal, even in casual movement. Yet there was a tension in his posture that Alex had learned to recognize: alertness, readiness, and the calm before a storm. "We leave now," Cale said, his deep voice carrying the weight of command. "Our path is uncertain, but delay increases danger. Hunters will continue to track us. We must reach the artifact before they anticipate our move." Alex swallowed hard. "I'm ready," he said, adjusting his backpack. He felt a mix of excitement and fear. Ordinary humans didn't walk into battles against intergalactic hunters and mythical warriors. Yet here he was, walking alongside one of the most feared beings in existence. Somehow, it felt right. They moved carefully through the city streets, avoiding surveillance and keeping two shadows. Cale's knowledge of tactics and timing was precise, his ears flicking at every sound, his amber eyes scanning every alleyway and corner. Alex followed, learning to observe, to anticipate, and to trust instincts he didn't know he possessed. Every step seemed small, yet every step mattered. As they reached the outskirts of the city, Cale stopped. "The journey will take us across dimensions," he said. "I can guide us, but your intuition will help. You see the world differently. That perspective may save us." Alex nodded, though he had no idea what to expect. The last days had taught him that his creativity and quick thinking mattered. But traveling between dimensions was something else entirely. Cale touched a small device on his belt, and the air shimmered in a faint ripple, like heat waves rising from asphalt. Alex felt his stomach lurch as the city dissolved into a blur of light and color. The sensation was dizzying, but Cale's steady presence beside him grounded him. They emerged in a strange landscape. The sky was a deep purple, streaked with veins of gold, and two suns hung on the horizon, casting elongated shadows across a jagged terrain. Alien flora pulsed with faint bioluminescence, and the ground beneath their feet seemed almost alive, shifting slightly with each step. Alex stared in awe. "Where are we?" Cale's ears twitched. "A waypoint dimension. Safe for short periods? We rest here and gather intelligence before continuing toward the artifact. Hunters may arrive, and we must be ready." Alex took in the alien surroundings, feeling both overwhelmed and exhilarated. "This is incredible, but also terrifying." Cale nodded. "Fear is natural. Control it. Use it to sharpen awareness." Over the next few hours, they set up a temporary camp. Cale instructed Alex on the basics of survival in the alien environment, how to read subtle changes in the ground, detect shifts in energy, and interpret sounds beyond human hearing. Alex struggled at first, but Cale's patience was unwavering. He moved beside him, correcting mistakes, encouraging persistence, and demonstrating the precise movements of someone who had survived countless worlds and battles. During a quiet moment, Alex asked Cale, "Why do you trust me? I'm just human. I barely understand any of this." Cale considered the question. "Humans possess qualities underestimated by other species. Ingenuity, adaptability, creativity. You think in ways my training does not anticipate. That makes you useful. More than that, necessary. Alex felt a warmth at the words. To be trusted by a being as fearsome as Kale was, more than honor it, was validation. And yet it was not pride that stirred him, but responsibility. He understood that the galaxy's fate, in some small way, rested with him as well. That evening, as the twin suns set, the ground trembled. Alex instinctively ducked behind a jagged rock, heart pounding. Kale's ears flicked, eyes narrowing. "Hunters," he said simply. Alex peeked over the rock. Figures emerged from the shadows, sleek, armored, and terrifyingly fast. Vryn led them, her suit now more advanced, her movements almost preternatural. "They've upgraded," Kale murmured. "We must fight, but carefully. Avoid direct confrontation when possible." Alex's mind raced. He glanced at the surroundings, noting the alien plants and glowing rocks. He had learned from Kale that the environment could be an ally. Thinking quickly, he began arranging obstacles, tying vines to rocks, and improvising traps using the bioluminescent flora. Kale glanced at him, a flicker of approval in his amber eyes. The hunters advanced, and chaos erupted. Kale moved with breathtaking speed, disarming and incapacitating enemies before they could react. Alex's improvised traps slowed others, tripping them or creating distractions. One hunter lunged toward Alex, but Kale intercepted with a precise strike, his claws glinting in the alien light. Amid the battle, Alex noticed something remarkable. Kale did not fight recklessly. Every movement, every strike was calculated, conserving energy while maximizing effect. Yet he also adapted fluidly to the unpredictable terrain and the hunter's unexpected tactics. Alex realized that Kale's genius was not only in strength, but in intelligence, observation, and discipline. After the initial skirmish, the hunters retreated into the shadows, regrouping. Kale's tail flicked in annoyance. They learned quickly. Next time, they will anticipate our strategies. We must act before they improve further. Alex nodded, his adrenaline still high. We need allies, right? You mentioned something about that before? Kale's ears twitched. Yes, certain beings across dimensions can assist. We must locate them. They are willing to help, but they require trust and proof of capability. You have demonstrated both. As night fell, they moved cautiously through the alien landscape. Bioluminescent plants illuminated the path, casting strange, shifting shadows. Kale occasionally paused, listening to subtle changes in the air. Alex began to feel more confident, using his observations to help Kale navigate. Together, they moved silently like predators, yet their purpose was to survive. Protect and prepare. During a rest, Kale shared more about the artifact. The syrup of eternity is not merely sugar. It is a catalyst for balance. Without it, tyrants rise, civilizations fall, and chaos spreads. Hunters like Vryn seek power, but lack comprehension of responsibility. They will misuse the artifact. That is why we must reach it first. Alex felt the weight of the task. What had begun as absurd a cup of sugar had grown into a mission of cosmic consequence. Yet, instead of despair, he felt resolve. He understood that ordinary humans could make extraordinary differences. Courage, intelligence, and loyalty mattered, even in worlds and dimensions beyond comprehension. The next day, they encountered their first potential ally, being named Leora, a humanoid with translucent skin that shimmered like starlight. She was cautious but intrigued by Kale's reputation and Alex's presence. Leora tested them with challenges, assessing strength, intelligence, and teamwork. Alex, drawing on lessons from Kale and his own instincts, solved problems with creativity and quick thinking. Kale demonstrated combat skill and strategy. Leora's eyes glimmered with approval. "You have proven yourselves," she said. "I will aid your mission." Alex felt a surge of hope. They were no longer alone. With allies, preparation, and determination, they had a chance to reach the artifact before the hunters could. Yet the danger was far from over. Every dimension they traversed, every obstacle they overcame, brought new challenges. Kale's guidance, combined with Alex's ingenuity, was crucial. As they settled for another night in a hidden cavern illuminated by glowing crystals, Kale spoke quietly. "Tomorrow, we advance closer to the artifact. Hunters will escalate. You must remain vigilant." Alex nodded. "I will. We'll face it together, like always." Kale's amber eyes softened. "Yes, together. Humanity is unpredictable, and that is valuable. Courage, adaptability, trust, these are weapons as sharp as claws or blades. Remember this." Alex lay down, thinking of the strange path his life had taken. The most feared Vulpine warrior in the galaxy, who had come to his door for sugar, was now his companion, mentor, and partner in a mission that spanned worlds and dimensions. He felt a sense of purpose he had never known, courage he had never imagined, and a bond that transcended species, planets, and expectations. Outside, the twin moons of the alien dimension cast pale light across the terrain. Alex looked at Kale, whose silhouette seemed impossibly powerful against the glowing horizon. He knew the challenges ahead would test them both beyond imagination. But he also knew one undeniable truth: together, they could face anything. And in the quiet of that alien night, Alex understood the essence of HFY. Humanity could stand beside the mightiest of warriors, face impossible odds, and still shine with creativity, courage, and determination. The journey was far from over, but the foundation of victory and friendship was already laid. Tomorrow, they would face greater danger, traverse treacherous landscapes, and confront hunters who would stop at nothing. But for now, Alex allowed himself a brief moment of peace. They had survived another day, grown stronger, and taken the first steps toward fulfilling a mission of cosmic importance. And though the universe was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, Alex knew he was ready. With Kale at his side, and the lessons he had learned in courage, observation, and ingenuity, he could face the impossible. The morning light in the alien dimension shimmered across jagged terrain, casting long shadows over the glowing plants and crystal-strewn ground. Alex adjusted his backpack and took a deep breath. Today was the day. The artifact, the syrup of eternity, lay ahead, and with it, the power to maintain balance across Kale's galaxy. He felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, but it was accompanied by a strange thrill. He had survived, learned, and grown in ways he had never imagined. Kale moved beside him, tall, powerful, and alert. Every muscle was coiled, ready for the inevitable confrontation with the hunters. His amber eyes scanned the horizon, ears twitching at the faintest sound. "The path is dangerous," he said in his low, commanding voice. "Hunters will anticipate our moves. We must act with precision and speed." Alex nodded. He glanced at the alien landscape, then at Kale. "We're ready, together." Their journey to the artifact's resting place took them through treacherous terrain. Sharp cliffs, shifting ground, and alien fauna tested their skills and patience. Alex relied on Kale's guidance and his own creativity to navigate. Sometimes they used glowing vines as ropes, other times as traps to slow potential pursuers. Alex had learned to anticipate danger, improvise with whatever was available, and trust his instinct, skills he never imagined he could master. As they neared a massive fortress floating above a valley of swirling energy, Kale paused. "The artifact is within, but it will be guarded. The hunters may have set traps or stationed guards. We must proceed carefully." Alex swallowed hard. He stared at the immense structure. Its walls shimmered with energy, and faint mechanical hums suggested defenses beyond comprehension. The hunters had clearly prepared for confrontation, but Alex felt a surge of confidence. He had Kale beside him, and he had learned that courage, ingenuity, and trust could turn ordinary humans into extraordinary allies. They entered the fortress through a narrow side passage Kale had detected. The corridors were long, dark, and filled with subtle energy fields. Alex's heart pounded with anticipation, but Kale's calm presence steadied him. They moved silently, observing patterns in the defenses, avoiding traps, and neutralizing obstacles with careful precision. Alex had learned from Kale how to remain alert while improvising, using whatever was available to solve immediate problems. Suddenly, a series of alarms echoed through the fortress. The hunters had detected their intrusion. Vryn herself appeared at the far end of the corridor, flanked by several elite guards. Her suit gleamed with technological sophistication, and her eyes glowed with a fierce determination. "You should have stayed away, Kale," she said coldly. "And you, human, you have overstepped your place." Kale stepped forward, claws extended. "We are not leaving without the artifact. You will not succeed in corrupting it." The battle erupted with a speed and intensity that made Alex's heart race. Kale moved with astonishing agility, disarming multiple guards at once, striking with calculated force, and deflecting attacks that could have destroyed any ordinary human. Alex, though terrified, applied every lesson Kale had taught him. He triggered traps, created diversions, and even used the fortress's energy conduits to disrupt the hunters' movements. Vryn lunged at Alex, underestimating his skill and courage. Alex reacted instinctively, using a combination of quick thinking and objects around him to block and evade. Kale intercepted, their combined efforts neutralizing the immediate threat. Alex felt a thrill of exhilaration. He was fighting alongside a legendary warrior, and he was making a real difference. As the battle raged, Kale paused for a moment, assessing the situation. "Alex, now, help me reach the artifact." Alex nodded. Together, they navigated the fortress's central chamber. Energy fields pulsed in shifting patterns, requiring precise timing. Alex remembered the lessons Kale had taught him: observation, patience, and creativity. He guided Kale through the fields, using timing and quick improvisation to avoid the deadly energy bursts. Kale followed his cues, a seamless combination of instinct and human strategy. Finally, they reached the artifact. It floated above a crystalline pedestal, a small pool of shimmering syrup-like substance glowing with cosmic light. Kale approached it cautiously, analyzing the energy radiating from the artifact. "This is it," he said quietly. "The balance rests here. One misstep could cause chaos." Alex stepped forward. "How do we activate it?" Kale looked at him, amber eyes softening. "The sugar must be pure. Your world's sugar. We'll complete the process. You have already provided the key. Now we finish it together." Alex retrieved a small pouch of sugar he had kept from his apartment. Kale extended a clawed hand, and Alex poured the sugar carefully into the artifact's pool. Light flared, bright and warm, enveloping both of them. The fortress trembled, and the energy swirled in magnificent patterns. Alex shielded his eyes for a moment, and when the light dimmed, the artifact had activated. The swirling energy stabilized, and a wave of calm passed through the fortress, silencing alarms and dispersing the hunters' forces. Kale looked at Alex, his expression a mixture of relief and pride. "You have done well. Humanity is remarkable. Courage, trust, ingenuity, all of these are extraordinary weapons. You have proven yourself beyond expectation." Alex smiled, feeling a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. "I couldn't have done it without you, Kale." Kale's tail flicked, a subtle sign of approval. "Nor I without you. Partnership, trust. These are often underestimated. Together, we achieved what few could." Vryn, recovering from the defeat, glared at them from a distance. "This is not over," she hissed, before retreating with her remaining forces. Alex and Kale watched her disappear, knowing that, though they had succeeded today, vigilance would always be necessary. With the artifact secured, Kale explained its purpose in simple terms. "The syrup of eternity maintains balance in my galaxy. Without it, civilizations fall into chaos. Its activation with your sugar restored stability. Countless lives are saved because of our actions today." Alex felt a strange mix of awe and humility. The absurd journey from a simple knock at his door to traveling across dimensions and activating a galaxy-altering artifact had taught him something profound. Ordinary humans could achieve extraordinary things. Courage, intelligence, creativity, and trust mattered. Even in a universe filled with warriors, hunters, and cosmic stakes. Kale looked at Alex, a rare softness in his amber eyes. you have changed me as well. I have learned the value of human perspective, humor, and resilience. You reminded me that even the strongest warriors cannot face the universe alone. Companionship and trust are as vital as strength or skill. Alex smiled, feeling the bond deepen. And you've taught me that even ordinary people can make a difference in extraordinary ways. They prepared to return to Alex's world. Cale used his dimensional device, and within moments, they were back in the familiar city streets. The apartment looked ordinary once more, but Alex knew nothing about his life would ever feel ordinary again. He had fought alongside a legend, faced unimaginable danger, and discovered courage and resourcefulness within himself he had never known existed. Cale stood at the doorway, ready to depart. I must return to my galaxy, he said. There are still challenges to face, balance to maintain, and duties that require my presence. But know this, Alex. You have proven that humanity is remarkable. Courage, adaptability, and trust can change the course of worlds. You have my gratitude and my respect. Alex felt a lump in his throat. I thank you, Cale, for everything. For trusting me, teaching me. For being here, Cale inclined his head. And I thank you. Remember, even in the smallest places, even in the most absurd beginnings, greatness can be found. You have embodied that truth. With that, Cale activated his device and disappeared in a shimmer of light, leaving Alex standing in the quiet apartment. The faint smell of tea lingered in the air, a small reminder of the absurd but extraordinary journey they had shared. Alex smiled, realizing that life, no matter how ordinary it seemed, held the potential for adventure, courage, and the unexpected. He set down his backpack and looked around his apartment. The city outside was calm, oblivious to the cosmic events that had unfolded. Alex thought of Cale, the warriors, the hunters, and the artifact. He realized that even though the galaxy-spanning adventure had ended for now, he had changed. He was braver, smarter, and more capable than he had ever imagined. And in the quiet moments, Alex allowed himself to imagine the future, a universe where humans, armed with ingenuity, courage, and heart, could stand beside the mightiest warriors, confront the impossible, and shape the course of worlds. He poured himself a cup of tea, added just a little sugar, and smiled. Somewhere out there, Cale might be sipping the same, remembering the same absurd but unforgettable journey. Alex realized that the universe was vast, unpredictable, and sometimes downright ridiculous, but it was also full of possibility. Friendship and the power of ordinary beings to do extraordinary things. For Alex, life had changed forever, and somehow he knew that the next knock on his door, whatever form it might take, would be another adventure waiting to begin.